Ciao friends, my name is Joey Balistreri. I am here today with our friends from Jesse James Beads, and I am so thrilled about the new collection. It is called the Coquette collection, and I have quite a few elements from the collection here. I'm not sure everything that's going to go into my project. I know the basics, but it's all so delicious and so lovely in these soft pastel colors, and I just can't wait to get going on this project. I also have a couple of things here from their new pearl collection. If you've been around me at all, you know that I tend to pull a lot of supplies when I start a design so that I have options when I get going on my stringing. So I did pull these out because I do love them. And I have here some leftover from the ombre collection. This little micro-faceted gemstone strand was left over from some of the projects I did with the ombre collection, and I'm going to be using that. And then I absolutely love the boho beads that are part of this collection, and I simply can't put them away. I have them here. They're so inspiring and so delicious. I just love them. But I've chosen this blue cotton candy one to be part of my focal on the necklace that I'm going to make. It has this embedded cup chain all the way around, and it has some little embedded pearls, little seed pearls, and gold embellishments, and it's just absolutely delicious, and it's such a sweet size. It's a little bit smaller boho bead. And then this is from the Jesse James Beads website, this amazing connector bar. I love connector bars, and this one has, I didn't even count the holes, a lot of holes, but it had exactly what I needed because I need one right in the center for my design, and I absolutely love this. I think this is the prettiest connector bar that I've ever seen with the little crystals down the middle. So that's going to be going in my project. And I have two chains here from Jesse James Beads that are new. Well, this one's new. This one might not be new. This one is the most beautiful. It's called Golden Sage, but it has a blue-green look. It's a very neutral crystal, and I just think it looks amazing with the cotton candy blue. So that's going to finish off my necklace. And then this delicate, ethereal, dangly, sort of fairy or slash princess like chain is part of the Coquette collection, and it has these tiny little pearl drops that are encased in gold, and the ever so sweet crystals that are all faceted. And I don't even know if you can see, but the teeny tiniest little bead caps on the top of those crystals, and they just dangle between these diamond cut little curved bars. And so I just love it. I mean, it's not a great camera angle, but when I'm all finished, I always put up some better pictures so you can have a good look at what I've made. And then this bead strand is to die for. I just drool every time I look at it, and I think I'm going to be cutting it apart and borrowing the components maybe just as they are. When I start stringing, I'll make that decision, but that's kind of the plan idea for this necklace. So I will be using some 49 strand gold bead stringing wire. I have also some little crimp beads here in my teapot. I'm going to just set them out of the way, but they are ready for the stringing. And then I'm going to use this little ombre strand that I had left over. This is going to get strung in exactly the position that it's in, but I want to save out the last 5 beads for the top part of my connector bar, and this bit is going to be on the bottom of my connector bar. So I'm going to try to keep them in the order in which they are strung and just slide off these 5 on this side and these 5 on this side. In fact, I'll leave those and string from here. And the other thing I'm going to do is just dot my stringing with some 11/0 gold seed beads. I have about a 10-inch piece of my bead stringing wire here. It's probably more than I need, but above the top of the connector bar on the second hole from the end, I want to do these 5 beads. So I'm going to leave myself enough space here for my 5 gemstone beads with some seed beads in between, and enough space to make a loop on the end of this little section. And on this side, I am just stringing on a crimp bead, and I'm just going to flat crimp this right here, it's just to add a little bit of security and also give me a little bit of control while I'm stringing such small beads. So now I can lay that down, and I'm going to start stringing from this end, and I think my pattern is going to be 2 of these micro faceted beads, and then a seed bead, and then 2 more, and then a seed bead. And I'm just going to do that until I've strung the entire length of what I had left over from my ombre collection designs that I did. So just like that, and then 2 more. So I'm all strung, and I'm going to do the same thing on this side. I'm just going to add a crimp bead and flat crimp just to, keep my small stringing pattern in place before I add it to the spacer bar. So I'm just going to let that crimp bead drop down and just get a hold of it and flat crimp right there. And now I'm going to come, as I said, to the second bar, and I'm going to do the same thing with another flat crimp just to add a little security. And you really won't see these. You really won't. They're kind of hidden behind the decoration on the spacer bar. I'm just going to get in there. In fact, I might have to go this way. Just get that, just get it crimped. There. So now it's in my bar securely, and I'm going to do the same thing. Come to the second hole on the end, you see, and same thing, a crimp bead and flat crimp. Okay, building this necklace is already so much fun. Now I'm going to cut this strand. I hate to cut this strand because it's so gorgeous just as it is. When I got this, I was thinking just making this the focal on a necklace, but I want these guys right here. So I'm going to come and take one of these to play with. One of these little sections just as it is. And I'm going to take a piece of 20 gauge wire and my 1.5 millimeter one-step looper. You can also do your loops with your pliers, but I love my one-step looper. It really saves my hand from all the twisting, and I get good consistent loops. Start with a nice straight piece of wire and a nice clean loop, and I'm going to stack this little floral section on this wire just exactly the way that it was on the bead strand. Why mess with perfection? And then I am toying with the idea of this being here or here. And I just made the decision. I'm going to go ahead. I think it will be pretty to continue my micro-faceted gems for the 5 beads, make that loop, and then add this component. But I'll go ahead and complete this, this loop on this component. So simple loop on this side as well. Okay, so a little bit more stringing. I'm going to put these micro-faceted gemstones. I'm going to do a seed bead in between each one on the upper part. And I'll do both sides exactly the same. A gemstone, a seed bead, a gemstone, a seed bead. So to the 5. Here I am going to do a number 2 crimp tube and make a connecting loop and use my magical crimping plier for this part of the necklace, because when you use a number 2 crimp tube and crimp, It looks almost identical in size, shape, and color. I'm working in gold as an 11-0 seed bead, and it's really lovely and it's magical. As the name of the tool, a non-jewelry maker looks at this and it looks like a seed bead here in the stringing pattern, and it's magical how the piece is held together. So I'm just going to put my number 2 crimp tube right in the center and just make sure that I don't have any weird gaps. Just like that. Close it. I've made a little square with 4 pinched corners, and then come back in the opposite direction, close it again, and then I'm just going to keep the position in the plier and just go around and around until it makes a little bead for me. So you see, it looks almost identical to the 11-0 seed beads that I'm spacing with. So I'm just going to come in and trim away. It's nice if you can feed your wire back down through, but on tiny micro-faceted gemstones, that doesn't work so well. So I'm going to leave that and do the exact same thing on this side. Okay, this is where we're at. I've gone ahead and attached the little flower component facing up, and that's important because I'm going to do another one here that's facing down. And I've made another one and it just gets attached to the other side exactly the same way. Just open that simple loop and attach and close it really well. When you've got a fine things, like everything is very dainty and beautiful, but it's amazing how the slightest opening you can lose your component. So we are looking like this so far, and I think I'm going to work right here, and I have taken that same stack of flowers from the strand just the way that it was and added it to a ball head pin and just put it beneath my boho bead, my blue cotton candy. And I'm going to come here and put a simple loop in this. Just like that. And I'm going to take another ball head pin and I'm going to find that center, the very center hole on my bar. And so that ball head pin disappears, but it does act as a nice little stopper. And I'm going to do another simple loop right here. So you can do this. I'm going to turn it this way so the opening of my loop is to the back. Actually, it won't matter because since this is going to spin around, it's going to, never stay in the same place. But I'm just going to get a simple loop. You can do this with your pliers too if you want. I'm just really used to this tool. I just want to have this right in the center and then just have a simple loop here and add my dangle and close this really well. Close that simple loop really, really well. Work hard in a little bit. And so now I have this little drop right in the middle of my necklace. And to this, I think I do love, let me clean up a little bit here. I absolutely love these beads so much. I really hate to put them away, but so there won't be so much busyness on my mat now that I've cut the strand open. You set that aside. Okay, and I really think that I do want the pearls. I think they just look amazing because I have little tiny pearls in my final chain that's going to go here. So I think I'm going to wire wrap those pearls. So I do have very small holes on these gorgeous pearls, so I'm going to have to go down to 22 gauge wire. I always try to use the thickest gauge of wire that will fit through my beads or my components just to add strength to the piece. I've used 20 gauge for all of my other components. So I'm just going to get a hold of the wire, give it a 90-degree bend while I'm holding it in my pliers. I like to smooth and warm and straighten the wire. And I'm going to make a normal wire wrapped loop. I'll do one pretty slow for newer people. I'm gonna place my wire in between the barrels of the pliers, bring this wire over the top. I'm holding tightly here, and then I'm gonna rotate so that the bottom barrel, what was the bottom, is now the top. And then I'm gonna simply bring this wire around and look at my loop and make sure that that loop is centered on my wire. And then I'm going to just do about 3 wraps. You can do it with your fingers or with your pliers. With this 22 gauge wire and this length here, I can do it with my fingers. And then if I'm not happy with my wraps, if I want to tighten them, I'll put my plier inside the loop and just kind of pull things up. And I like really nice, neat wraps. If you like that more messy kind of, you know, organic wrap, then you don't have to do that. But for me, I kind of fuss with my loops and things. And then I'm going to thread on the pearl. It has really small hole. If there's even like a little bend in the wire, it will not want to slide on. Try that again. There we go. And I'm just going to bring that all the way up to my loop, and I'm going to do the exact same thing on this side. And I'll show you, I just want to keep the orientation of my pearl this way with my loop, so parallel with my loop. So again, a 90-degree bend. Try to place my pliers in the same place on this barrel so that my loop is the same size. Bring that over, rotate, bring it around, and just center everything before I remove the plier. And when I take it away, I get a hold of that loop and just simply wrap down to my pearl. And as I get down to the bead where I'm going to want to secure it, I'll position it facing forward and get that last, just snuggle that last wrap in there. Just like snuggle it in, just like that, gently. But that secures my bead. If you have a bead that you want facing forward, a wire wrapped loop is a good idea. And I'll use that to do the second pearl. I'm going to do the exact same thing. Just tuck that in, and I like to straighten everything. Make sure all my loops are straight. And so that little component is done, and it's going to be added right here. Open that simple loop, add that pearl, and close that simple loop again, and work harden it. So have a little pearl element to this absolutely scrumptious necklace. And I'm going to come and do the exact same thing for the other side. Okay, here's where we are. So now I want to attach this beautiful chain right to the bottom, and I'm going to attach it the same way that we did here. I'm going to use the last loop and take one of my ball head pins and just put it in, and I am going to get a simple loop in there. You can do it with your pliers. I'll just give this a bend like that. You can do it with your pliers or the one-step looper. It's going to spin around, and you just need a really small loop because this is so fine. And I'm just going to bring that around. Almost looks like I'm trying to do a wire wrapped loop. Just make that little small loop there, and then I'm going to snip right there where the loop meets that wire. So I just have a little loop now hanging from my bar, and I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So now I have those little loops. They really hide nicely behind the bar, and I just want to attach my chain, but I want to make sure that I'm not attaching it twisted because I want the beautiful cascades to you know, hang right on the necklace. So I'm just going to get a hold of this little loop on the chain where this dangle is hanging on the outside, and I'm going to come right here to my simple loop that I made and attach it right there. Okay, and just get your pliers in there. It's very small work, but take a breath, be patient, and make sure that loop is closed. It is amazing how on fine chains and things, how they can slip out of even the slightest opening. So just really take your time and make sure it's closed. I can see that I still have a tiny gap. Okay, the first side is always so easy, and on this side I really have to watch how I'm connecting so that the little cascades on this chain, so that they actually, you know, hang properly when the necklace is on. Just like that, and close it really well, just like we did the other side. This is so dreamy and absolutely so gorgeous. So I'm ready to finish off my necklace with this chain reaction, and I want a blue crystal to be at the pearl on either side. So this side is good. This side I can just take a jump ring, and I made my jump rings out of the same 20 gauge wire, and I can attach it right here to the top of my pearl. And on the other side, I'm going to have to modify the chain a little bit, just remove these final links. But these make absolutely gorgeous earrings when you remove links from chain reaction. It just makes absolutely gorgeous earrings. Even this one could be a stunning extender chain, because you could actually fit, you know, hook a lobster claw clasp in those. So that will not go to waste. And then I'm going to do the same thing here. Take another jump ring and attach it to this side. And then I will have to modify the chain reaction one more time at the back of the neck where my clasp is going to go. Close this really well, work hard in it. And so for the back of the necklace, this is the very center right here, and I do have to remove this little crystal. And I think I'm just going to actually cut the wire wrapped part so that I have those two little links, and I have a beautiful crystal to add to my stash. I don't throw anything away. And then to the back of the necklace, I'm just going to add a jump ring and a lobster claw clasp. And this stunningly gorgeous, feminine, flirty necklace is done. I will put some pictures at the end of the video so that you can have a better look. I still have so much left from this collection to work with. Set that aside. Check the description box for links. Everything will be there for you. And I think you'll love looking at the Coquette collection on the Jessie James Beads website. It's just so delightful, so perfect for spring. I could see this necklace being worn with just a white top and just looking so feminine and girly. The colors are so sweet. I thank you so much for watching. I hope everybody's safe and well and having fun on your beading mats.